If you were to pay attention on her waist over here, yeah, and even her thighs,
ミニスカートじゃないのは減点だけど、生足だから許す。
those are very thin waist and thighs. She needs to eat more. Hi and welcome back to X Kurogane Blog and Photography. Steven writes here with a third successive pop-up red figure review. This one is also made by Good Smile Company, just like Ookami Mio, while Pekora was made by Max Factory. We are looking at Shirakami Fubuki from Hololive, and just like Ookami Mio, she sells for 3,900 Japanese yen, while Pekora is the most expensive one among the three at 4,500 yen or so. Perhaps because she is the most popular one, so why not just slap on a higher price tag on her and cash in because people will buy her anyway. Also, among these three characters, Shirakami Fubuki is the smallest and the shortest one. Even though pop-up red, they are not exactly a skill figure in a sense that they don't have a very specific skill, just like prize figures, but I do think that they are following a specific skill, and as a result, Fubuki being the shorter character ended up with a shorter figure, and it is reflected in her box design. Her box is about half an inch narrower and shorter than the other two. What attracted my attention more about this figure of Fubuki is the character itself. I mean, she is very skinny. If you were to pay attention on her waist over here, yeah, and even her thighs,
ミニスカートじゃないのは減点だけど、生足だから許す。
those are very thin waist and thighs. She needs to eat more. Yeah, I love slim girls, I love slender girls, but this is too much, this is too skinny. Just my opinion anyway. So we shall skip past the unboxing part. Her box is pretty much like the other pop-up red figures. Jumping straight to the figure, you know, when I took this figure out from her box, I was staring at her face for like 5 or 10 minutes or so. It felt like her face is not exactly like what I see in the official product photos. At least initially it felt that way. And then I had my computer with the official product photo on the screen, and then I was staring at it, comparing it to this figure for over 5 minutes. And then in the end, after looking at this figure from various angles, from above, from below, at eye level, and so on, I concluded that no, she looks like the official product photos. So you see the problem with some figures in general. This is not the only one. There are many figures out there where the face seems a bit off compared to the official product photo, or especially the actual artwork, the 2D artwork. So this is related to the problem where sometimes it can be rather difficult to translate a 2D artwork which is flat into a 3D object. This figure of Caster Skahak by Quesq has a very similar problem, where her face will look a bit off unless you're looking at the precise angle. Then it will look like the official artwork. So this is a problem that affects many figures as well, not just this figure of Shirakami Fubuki. Everything else about the figure looks exactly like what we see in the official artwork, official product. So that is a passing score for this figure. And then we look at the paint job. Her paint job is very similar to Ookami Mio, except being a bit worse. Not to say this figure is bad in any way. There are barely any scratches or paint bleeding. Everything looks very tidy. However, at the back of her head over here, this is where this figure falls behind the other two, Pekora and Mio. So the back of her head over here, as well as her tail, it looks a bit unfinished, it looks a bit rough, feels rough to the touch as well, and you can see some mold lines on the ponytail. So in terms of the quality control on this figure, it falls behind the other two slightly, but by all means it is no deterrent. If you want to buy one, this is still a good purchase. But what you need to know is that she is not as good as the other two in terms of the paint work and the sculpt. And then the other thing that I don't like about this figure is also the same as Ookami Mio, which is the foot pegs. This giant ugly foot peg over here, it wasn't present in the prototype or the official product photos, but this is what we get in the mass-produced version of the very same figurine. So is this misleading advertising? I will leave it up to you to decide for that. I mentioned the same thing in Ookami Mio's review. But at the same time, I can understand this is necessary and a low-cost solution to make sure the figure is durable enough. My conclusion for this figure of Shirakami Fubuki will be a bit complicated in the sense that I do highly recommend Pekora and Ookami Mio, simply because they are rather well made for a pop-up parade figure. However, with Fubuki over here, she is a bit less refined both in sculpt and in paint work, a bit too unrefined to earn a high recommendation from me. But at the same time, if you already own the other two, most likely you will want this third figure just to complete the set. I would have a very similar problem where if I'm going for a set and even one or two characters are missing, I will have this uneasy feeling of incomplete set syndrome. Yeah, that uneasy feeling where something is missing or something is incomplete. It is very similar to OCD in some way. So nonetheless, if you were to own the other Hololive characters, most likely you will pick up this one anyway. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you guys again soon. Goodbye.